Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Psychom Chat with Nzigi. I'm Nzigi Psyche, and you know what we do. When it's a Wednesday, it's all about Psychom Chats. We talk to scientists, we talk to anybody really who's a science communicator or deems themselves a science communicator and are passionate about science communication. That's all it's about. And today we have another science communicator who I'm so excited to get to talk to because he wears a lot of hats. He's not just a scientist, but he's also an actor. So I'm not going to waste much time. I'm going to bring Tshele on and we're going to have this conversation. Remember, this conversation is supposed to be engaging. So use that comment section, ask your questions, cheer him on. And yeah, let's do this. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you?
How are you? I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Well, so that people know this is our second time trying it. So hopefully this time it works. It
Take
seems
two.
like it's working.
100%.
It seems like it's working, but I might have to ask some of the questions again because obviously I want to save this live. Quick one, who are you? Let's get to know you and then we're gonna go into the other stuff.
Okay. My name is Tshele Mokhantso, PhD candidate at Wits University. Oh, sorry. I'm nervous the second time again, so I think we need to take three. So I'm a PhD candidate at Wits University, studying researching on HIV. I got my PhD at University of Fort Hare, did my honors at Wits University, then my master's, which was later upgraded into a PhD. And I'm a blogger, a science communicator, an actor, and a joy to be around, as you know now.
Yes, a joy to be around. In take one, everybody kept saying, definitely we agree, he's definitely a joy to be around. So
Right.
we believe in take two, we believe it.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk a little bit about how you ended up in science. I know you touched on briefly on how it found you. Can you just elaborate on that, on how it found you?
Okay. Firstly, as I've stated, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Oh God, this better not be happening again. This is not happening. What is this? Okay, it's fine.
Too much
It
energy.
seems like you're okay now. We're not doing take three. This will work.
Okay.
This by four.
No. We're gonna get it right.
Oh my gosh. This is when I really like recorded things because you can like keep repeating and just get the best parts and then put the stuff together. But when it's live, you can't control anything. It's just like
Happens. It's the movie business.
yeah. But it seems like it's okay now. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that journey of how science found you.
Okay, with science, as much as I say it found me like growing up. Okay, my mother used to be a teacher for decades, so she was a maths and science teacher. So I always wanted to push myself to actually excel in those subjects as well. But then I also always wanted to understand stuff. As I feel like I'm repeating stuff, but yes, I used to enjoy a show called Mythbusters on Discovery. So that whole show basically was about understanding how stuff work, how each things work. Like we maybe myths, like I can't think of a myth right now, but yeah, basically they just use science to actually explain it to the layman. Okay, this is how this actually works. Like for example, the moon landing. This is how it works. So I just enjoyed science and understanding stuff going forward. So when I went to university, I started off at University of the Free State. where I spent 4 years there, which I eventually dropped out and just took time off to actually work on my mental health and actually figure out what I want to do. Because even there, I was dabbling in a lot of stuff, leadership activities. I even looked into commercial or labor law. I was trying to figure out what actually I want. So following that, I went to University of Fort Hare, where I started from scratch, and that's where I actually found amazing people that actually inspired me for the love of science. From there, I was just like, this is for me. That's when I just knew that this is for me.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting journey. I like the fact that you mentioned how it didn't work out the first time and you had to take the time and just, figure out who you are and where you want to be and then start again. And you're glad you started again
100%.
because now you're at a better place than you were before.
Definitely.
And I think that's the beautiful part of the journey. I hope like everybody watching is like, it's okay to stop and start again. It's
You're
okay to
right.
stop and start again. Okay, no, that's beautiful. Of course, at that time it must have been very difficult, but now on the other side, you're just like, that was a good decision.
It really was difficult, and I'm glad I took the decision to actually start from scratch again. Because even though I wouldn't lie, I was actually telling a friend that I'm still kind of healing from that, from actually like disappointing myself, because a lot of times before that moment, I know my family or some of my friends like, oh, Tshele the smart or so, or the academic. So even that I boxed myself into that. So when I started not doing well in academics, I started asking myself, who are you then? If you don't fit this box, then who are you? So that just, but right now I'm happier than before. I'm glad I made that decision, and I'm glad I'm here.
That's great. So you liberated in yourself and who you are,
100%.
and that's really beautiful. I always find it a little bit unfair when you expect somebody who's 18 years old to decide what they want to do with the rest of their life when they go to varsity and take
Right.
a particular course. You're like,
Like,
really? I'm only 18 and you want me to decide what's going to happen for the next
the
30
next
years of
40
my
years of
life?
my life.
40 years. That's a little bit unfair. So if you can, I always tell people if you can take a gap year and it's 'cause it's a good year to take off. If you can take that year and then go in before you find yourself doing a course you doing just because and you don't like it, then you just have to start again and start again. You know what I mean?
100%.
Definitely a hard time. Okay, so let's go into your research, Mr. Scientist. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
And why
very
is your
part.
research so important?
Okay, firstly, HIV was discovered in 1985. So that was like 3 decades ago, 3.5 decades ago. And today we still studying it. But HIV is a very intelligent virus in the sense that it uses errors to avoid drugs. So there are drug-derived mutations that happen. So my research focuses on an enzyme called HIV protease, which is responsible for the maturation of that HIV in the life cycle. So without those protease, HIV wouldn't be able to mature, and it would to prevent infections as well. So I'm just looking at that and working on drugs computationally and as well as experimentally to actually figure out how to actually inhibit this virus or this enzyme per se. Okay, so HIV as well is divided into two main groups called HIV-1 and HIV-2. HIV-1 is the most virulent, and it has also many subtypes as well, which are variants, which is a term I think most of us came to know with COVID now, with variants. So there's a variant that's found in sub-Saharan Africa called subtype C, and it accounts for 70% of all HIV infections in the world, which is a big number. And then, so with this subtype, the issue with this subtype is that most drugs are made according to the subtype B, which is found in Europe, mainly Western Europe, North America, as well as Australia. So all the drugs that we use right now towards HIV were based on that variant. So little is to show how, sorry, there's minimum research on the HIV that affects Africa and the globe as well. So my research is focusing on that one, which affects South Africa because it accounts for 1 in 5 infections in South Africa. No, sorry, 1 in 5 South Africans have HIV. So, and this subtype accounts for 90%, more than 90% of infections. So that's my research. So hopefully with this research, we can develop better drugs for African variants as well.
Wow. You mentioned a lot of numbers.
Oh,
For a minute, I was like, geez, oh my word, the stats are amazing.
so,
But no, I really like how the numbers are necessary because it really sheds light on the actual picture, so you can actually understand how everything works. And I really like that you're so focused on what is prevalent in South Africa or in sub-Saharan Africa, you know what I mean? So that's really, really important. So I like that. I like that. And I like that you're doing research for Africa that is going to benefit Africans, because I really feel that is what we need. That is what we've been needing. So kudos to you for
100%.
that.
Thank you so much.
All right. So what do you find most interesting about the work that you do?
What do I find most interesting? The numbers. But, okay, honestly, but what I found most interesting is like the challenge with it. I don't know, like when I was at University of Fort Hare, my majors were biochemistry and microbiology, but I loved microbiology. I found it so interesting. But biochemistry was the most challenging one. So when I came to Wits, I decided to actually challenge myself. My pastor likes to say, growth happens at the end of your comfort zone. So I wanted to take myself out of that comfort zone. So the challenge of every day, field experiments. Literally today, I come from doing so many experiments which are not going well. Okay, not so many, one experiment so many times which wasn't going well. And right now, low-key defeated, but I know tomorrow I'm going to get it. So every day of just pushing myself every day. So I find that so interesting. But the research itself, the fact that you said as well, just focusing on Africa as well, African solutions for Africans, and not relying on the West to actually, to wait on the West to actually give us these drugs that we need or these solutions that we need.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You know, I really admire scientists. There's a reason why I'm not a scientist. And there's a reason why I didn't continue to be a scientist. I did undergrad, science undergrad, it was great. I majored also in microbiology and biochemistry, great. But the lab and the patience you need to have, I don't have that. So, like you just said, you worked on this experiment, and people who don't know, they won't realize how long it took you to actually do this experiment today that didn't work. It took a long
the preparation
time.
towards it, like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Then you have to go at it again, and it's like, I hope it's gonna work, but it might not again, and you still have to keep going.
Exactly.
So I really admire scientists for that level of patience. And I think what you said at the end of, you're going to get it eventually, I think that's what keeps you going, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Because literally, I remember one of I'll call him a mentor in the lab. Well, the first time I actually failed like a big experiment after 2 weeks of preparing it, and everything just spilled. He just told me, just go home. If you want to cry about it, and come back tomorrow and start from scratch. That's what happens. You're a scientist. You have to get used to it. And then what I took from that was that basically things won't always work out the way you want them to. So do something, just allow yourself to feel that defeat. Allow yourself to, okay, I've lost right now. Don't just block it out. Allow yourself to feel that defeat, then find solutions to go forward.
Yeah. The whole point is not to give up. It's not to give up. So let's move on a little bit. There's so many layers to you, and I want to peel them all back today. Let's go into lab. Let's go. So little bit about Lab Thoughts. You have an Instagram page called Lab Thoughts where you share a lot about your research and things like that. Why did you start that?
Mhm.
And why did you feel it was, yeah, I need to do this?
Okay, with that one, it's a funny story actually. Um, because I was coming from another university, which was the undergrad actually prepared me for more of the problems that are in this, because the Eastern Cape University, the problems that are around Eastern Cape because of resources as well. So we were focused on mainly on quality of water, agriculture. So when I came to Wits, whereby there was more resources, I realized that I don't know half of these equipment or what they do or how to use them and whatnot. So I realized maybe there could be somebody else like me there. So I started the page to actually teach myself. It was actually more of a, like, I want to say, a letter to myself, trying to explain stuff because I understand stuff better when I explain them. So that's how it started. And then eventually started growing. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me start explaining what happens in the lab. As you said, a lot of people don't know what scientists do or what goes in the everyday in the everyday life of a scientist. So I felt like, okay, let me just try to explain this in a simple term. As I was talking about Einstein, who said if you cannot explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. So I started the page to be able to explain stuff simply so that I can understand it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then also with that, okay, so but that thing actually opened other avenues for me as well, because I started a blog as well, which is called Thoughts with Trace. And then there I started reviewing products, cosmetic products like your face creams, hair, shampoos and stuff, and try to explain the science behind making all those stuff, which is not even my field, but I enjoyed actually reading just about why do we actually have this chemical here and what does it do for your hair or your face or whatever, you understand? So the, the science page, the lab thoughts actually helped me out a lot in actually understanding my work and also teaching me out actually how to communicate with people better as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool, and we hope you're gonna keep using the Lab Thoughts page and posting on it. You haven't posted in time, so
Mhm.
this is by the
Yes.
way, please post. And
Will
just a
do, will
friendly
do.
reminder. When you get the
100%.
time. But obviously, I understand that it takes a lot of time because of all the different hats that you wear. One of the hats that I find
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, besides your science one, is that you're an actor. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
um, so I want us to talk a little bit about that because people wouldn't think a scientist would be an actor. If that, like those
Mm-hmm.
two
Yes,
don't
exactly.
seem to be, it's like actor, scientist. How did you like get into
Total opposite.
acting? Yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, firstly, I don't know, growing up, everyone was always taught that either you use your right brain or your left brain. If you're good with maths or science, you're not creative. So I grew up most of my life thinking I'm not creative at all. And then an opportunity arose when my little sister, she actually was in auditions and stuff. And then my mother was like, yo, I've got another son. He can come now. And then literally my spare time and stuff. Then I was like, maybe I could be creative. And then my agent was like, yo, just try it. Then I got an agent. And then I don't want to lie. As soon as I started, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting out of my comfort zone. Again, as I said earlier, like about getting out of my comfort zone. I enjoyed being there because a lot of people might think I'm extroverted. I don't even think I am. I just feel like so I'm nervous around people, but you won't see it. Even right now, I'm super nervous. But then with acting, it taught me a lot about myself as well in the process as well. So getting into it, I don't want to lie, it's been one of the most interesting parts of my life in recent years, and I've enjoyed it considerably.
Ah, great. So now this next section is where you get to shamelessly plug yourself. Okay,
Okay.
shamelessly plug yourself. So if we want to see you in action, which movies should we be watching?
Okay. the first one I got was an extra, but it was Benelandas. It's a Afrikaans soapy. And then I got my favorite one because it won awards was the Big Zulu music video Imali Ningi. So that was my favorite one. And then I did something else, but I don't know, it's not released yet. Music video with Java. And then I did there's one. Okay, there's a list now. There's one we currently working on. It's a Netflix show. I can't disclose the name, so we were working on it here. So it's a Netflix show. This one, I think that's my biggest break. And then the other one is called Ispindiselo with Israel Matsuke Zulu, and it's on the ETV app.
Great. So that is where we need to go.
100%.
There's more coming, of course. Of course, we are ready for it. We're looking forward to the Netflix one. Is this the one where I know you can't say much, but is this the one where you're a police officer?
Yes, that's the one where I'm a police officer. It's a very interesting storyline, and I enjoyed that.
Okay, and
Something
that's all you're going to say.
Something totally different that we used to.
Okay, that's all you're going to say about it. That's fine. That's fine. We don't want you to get fired or the end cutting out your scenes and be like, this guy talked too much.
Right.
All right, but before I ask the other questions, I just want us to answer some of the questions that the audience was asking.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the next one. So there was a question here. Is it true the HIV cure exists?
I don't want to be in any conspiracy theories. Recently, we've just we I mean scientists have just developed a vaccine for it, but with the cure as well. I have this conspiracy theory way before science, whereby I don't want to be in trouble for this, but it's just a conspiracy theory, whereby somebody would ask you if you were to sell ARVs, a drug that can make you live for 20 years, for 50 rands a month or 500 rands a month, or a virus or a cure that will just pay 20,000 rands once off, which one would you sell? So I don't know if it exists or not, but if people want money, I think the goal that route on selling something that will you live longer but pay more. But I haven't seen any published data that says there's an HIV cure. So according to science, there's no cure.
Okay. Whatever you say, scientist.
And that's why we need scientists from Africa to actually solve the problems, because
not these money-making schemes, because we know it. We know it. Okay. Another question. Can you explain how some people are immune to HIV? Is it a gene mutation?
With that one, okay, I haven't read about it in a while, but yes, it's a more genetic mutation, as Akbar has said. It's a genetic mutation which just it prevents the HIV from actually your body already attacks it. Your immune system was already attacking that HIV from the get-go, and it also differs according to the subtype as well. Because some people, I know in West Africa, there's a number of people there that are actually immune to HIV. So it's a genetic mutation, but there's still more research on it as well, so that we can actually try to replicate it on other people as well.
Okay, all right. I think that's all the questions that came through. All right, so let's move on and talk a little bit more about science communication, but it's more of kind of like the last question, really, because we've been talking a lot. And there's so much to talk about, but I respect your time, especially because we had to do a take two. So let's just let me just do the last one, which is complete the following sentence.
Okay.
I am a science communicator because
I am a science communicator because where there's my people perish because of lack of knowledge. I know it's just a quote, it's a scripture from the Bible, and it basically says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So I'm a scientific communicator to actually share the knowledge so that whenever we're deciding on stuff, we all know what's going on. because a lot of us will just go to we just go around maybe taking medication and whatnot without understanding it. You understand? So I feel like I'm a science communicator to make people understand, to share knowledge, because I don't want my people to perish because of lack of knowledge.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to ask you a question about what you just said now, but I don't want to miss this question that just came through now. When you are immune to HIV, does that mean you can't infect other people?
Ooh, with that one, you still can. Let's say, for instance, with people, I want to talk about ARVs as well with this question. A lot of people will be taking ARVs and then their CD4 count, there will be undetectable levels of HIV. So sometimes when you test, they'll say you are negative, but you can still infect. Okay, let me not say you can still infect, but chance of infections are decreased considerably. You follow? So even with immune people, because it's in your body already, you can still infect. So I wouldn't risk it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm about to ask you a super controversial question now. He's like, oh my gosh, please. Literally only because of what you said when I asked you why you're a science communicator.
Oh, yes.
And obviously you based your answer on scripture. And what challenges have you experienced, if any, with being a scientist and a Christian?
That's a very good question. It just brought me back. It was here for Watkins, my grade 8 and 9 biology teacher. The challenges with evolution, like a lot of things that would actually make me question my faith as well, were actually addressed then when I was still young, like evolution as well, the theory of evolution. And she explained it in such a proper way, whereby according to the scriptures as well. And I feel like with science, sorry, a very good question.
Take your time. Take your time.
I feel like for me, knowledge comes from God. You follow me? So with science, it's the pursuit of knowledge. So whatever solutions I come up with or ideas I come up with, I already know they come from a higher being. You understand? And then I feel like with all those challenges, I always know, let's say, I'm thinking of conflicts that happen with those, but I always like pray about it, read scripture about it, and a lot of things that I actually go for actually are addressed in scripture as well. You understand? So for instance, I don't know. I think it's also about what you're at peace at. Because being a scientist and a Christian, Christianity is also about vision and knowledge. As I've also read answer according to the knowledge, people perish because of lack of knowledge. Science is the pursuit of knowledge. So in actual fact, they shouldn't be clashing. They should be working together. You following? So I think, yeah, that's a, I don't know, I think I was dancing around the question much, but I think I answered it more or less.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It is a very tricky question to answer, but I think you answered it beautifully, especially when you're saying that science is a pursuit of knowledge, which it is. You know, the word science is actually translated knowledge in Greek. If I'm not mistaken, it means knowledge. So it's really great that you didn't, let me say, you didn't fall flat on your face when I asked you that question. You didn't do too badly at all. But I think we're going to end it right here. I think we're going to end it right here because before you know it, we'll be speaking for an hour and it's,
right.
And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair on anybody.
100%.
But this was such a great conversation. I enjoyed it so much. And I can officially say I know a celebrity now. And
Wow.
I personally know a celebrity, so that's exciting.
Right.
So you have a groupie here, just like that. You have a groupie. So the whole Kula community
The first time is starting already.
is rooting for you, definitely.
What do you think? Say once again, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. Very, very honored with this. And I'll definitely start posting again on the Lab Thoughts page and the blog as well.
Ah, okay. Wait, there's one question that just came in now. Can you see it?
Oh, yes.
So, do you read palms?
Oh, no. It's a party trick in a way, like whereby, as I said, being a joy of being around. So I'm always coming up with new ideas of actually getting energy in a room. So I once did the whole palm reading thing and actually worked. I was like, oh, wait, do I have this gift? I'm like, should I pursue it? But I was just playing around, basically. Sorry.
Okay. All right. It is confirmed. Tshele is not a palm reader. Okay.
No.
Yeah. All right. No, thank you so much again. And we will definitely keep supporting you and we'll check out your blogs. We'll also check out your page whenever you post. And obviously when your movies come out or your series come out, we'll definitely be out there rooting for you and cheering you on and be like, that's one of us, you know. So it's really beautiful. I like
Thank you
how
so much.
you fully embraced science, like you fully embraced what science has said was not possible, you know, way like either right brained or left brained and whatever. And you're just like, no, that's not true. It's everything works together. And I'm really happy with what you're doing. So yeah, all the best with your research, all the best with your acting, all your best with everything, really.
I receive. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank everyone who actually joined in and everyone's still going to watch later on. Thank you so much for supporting and thank you for the comments and the jokes as well.
Yeah. That's for sure. Thank you so much for everybody for watching. This was really great. I feel like they added to the energy. They really, made you feel a little bit more comfortable. And then, as nervous as you said you were, you did really well.
I'm an actor.
Oh, okay. Maybe you were not nervous at all. You were just like, I'm going to act like I'm nervous. So that the people are like, oh.
Right. So we never know.
Now we don't know. No, we don't know. Okay, have a great evening.
Same to you and all the best with your platform as
Thank
well
you.
and your movements as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.